Reaping. I mean reading. But also reaping. Also, people actually signed this shitty excuse for a treaty, meaning the alternative must have been much worse. And the movie doesn't even have the courtesy to enlighten us about the horrifying alternative that was avoided by this horrifying agreement.
It's your first year, Prim. Your name's only been in there once. They're not gonna pick you.
Premature false hopelation.
I'll still cook you.
Preparing a meal without considering that DJ Khaled wouldn't eat it. Dear gaming god in hunger heaven, was every movie in the early teens this into shaky handheld shots? Can't focus on the poverty through the sound of my own nausea. Thanks a lot, Born Identity.
It was the first deer I've seen in a year. Now I have nothing.
Katniss losing this game seems devastating, but Gale solves the problem by throwing a rock to scare some birds. A tactic that you'd think Katniss could have come up with on her own. I mean, she did the leaf wind thing to track that deer earlier, and that seemed to take a hell of a lot more skill. Because killing is fun. DC isn't ruining one of its most important franchise characters in this scene.
And may the odds be ever in your favor.
I'm honestly surprised there isn't some Hunger Games fandom movement to have all the odd-numbered days in May as some sort of bullshit Hunger Games holidays. I already can't get through May the 4th without Star Wars fans invading the cultural consciousness. Might as well destroy the rest of the month as well.
That's a mockingjay.
From this point forward, everyone will treat this pin as if it is special, but nobody will explain why.
You better tuck in that tail, little duck.
Ducks do not tuck in their tails, so you and your pet names for your sister can just tuck off.
It's a Mockingjay pin. To protect you.
And also to use as a metaphorical through line for the story, just in case we're actually in a movie and need some powerful moments later. I get that the realities of society are often less than ideal, and perhaps this is the future equivalent of some Nordic country, but District 12 is very white. Like, super, super white.
War. Terrible war.
Gale would be excellent at silent propaganda sins. Also, propaganda's position is barely a stone's throw away from news position, and I'm sending it as such.
Widows, orphans, a motherless child.
What? Just one motherless child? Was President Snow's speechwriter just naming off things they saw on the video, like Brick from Anchorman?
The lone victor, bathed in riches, would serve as a reminder of our generosity and our forgiveness.
I don't know, maybe this all complies with the logic that's been set up in the story, but it doesn't absolve the writers for thinking that this is what kids think that adults think. I think.
I volunteer as tribute!
How the CinemaSins writers' assignments are handed out for the Fast and Furious movies somehow makes it into the script.
And now, for the boys.
Let's hear it for the boy!
You have 3 minutes.
3 minutes? You either go with 1 minute or a solid 5. This really is a dystopian future.
To protect you.
Regifting a gift back to the person who gifted it to you.
Time.
No, it's not. It's been exactly 83 seconds. I know you guys are dicks, but this seems more like the screenwriter didn't understand how long
3 minutes.
was than a testament to your assholitude. Sorry, miss. I was instructed to allow your friend in for exactly 20 seconds just to remind the audience that they're supposed to be thinking about you two as a potential couple, because how else are they supposed to be invested? But he really has to go now.
Hey, Mitch.
Her name is Katniss, and hey yourself, pretty boy.
You know, Katniss, he is our mentor. He did win this thing once.
Katniss was literally sitting there silent before this statement, so I don't see why PETA is acting like she just said Haymitch can go f*** himself.
I just don't think there's anything wrong with getting a little bit of help.
That line felt slightly less forced than the insertion of this flashback, so they must have some sort of shared memory, I guess? Hart and Mentor has a drinking problem, but through coaching a young protege, they find something worth living for, cliché. Putting your nasty barefoot within 6 inches of someone's food intake port. Detachable collars were a thing once, and I view this scene as an open threat of their return. Oh my god, can we just get to Hogwarts already?
Oh, Joy. Why don't you join us?
Her name is Katniss, and she'll join when she is good and ready, asshole.
Can you pass the marmalade?
So we know thanks to both Prim and Gale that Katniss can hunt, but nothing about that information justifies her being capable of this table stabbing between the fingers trick. And if she's this much of a weapons expert, then she's a dick for not volunteering sooner.
And to get sponsors, you have to make people like you.
Influencer culture. Also, a movie will now use this Haymitch is irritable but actually wise moment to spoon-feed us some more exposition about a convoluted sponsorship program that allows rich people to send you soup. Is the future even dystopian without brutalist architecture? I don't know, but this movie sure isn't going to let us find out. Plucking a stray eyebrow from your neighbor's eye before thinking of taking the plank from your own. The idea that society would not progress past leg waxing both conceptually and technologically.
The importance of this moment cannot be overstated.
But as with everything in this movie, we will give it our best shot at overstating it anyway.
First chariot on my count at 15, 14, 13.
Starting a countdown at 15.
And don't you love how the stylists, they so clearly are able to reflect the character of each district?
Seems more like they've chosen to reflect the character of Cirque du Soleil, but if you say so.
What is that in the background?
This part of the movie will now pretend that no one has seen fire before. This place is about to lose its mind because of a few flames.
Now see that? I love that. Two young people holding their hands up, saying, I'm proud I come from District 12. We will not be overlooked. I love that.
Thank God Stanley Tucci is here to explain this, because I had no idea why anyone would care about this. Before you survive the Hunger Games, your shins must survive this bed frame.
In 2 weeks, 23 of you will be dead. 1 of you will be alive.
Thanks for clarifying. I was worried that one person was going to occupy a quantum superposition.
Most of you will die from natural causes. 10% from infection, 20% from dehydration.
The trainer gives us only enough statistics to account for 30%, so maybe this percentage is exclusive instead of inclusive. Either way, it's confusing.
Exposure can kill as easily as a knife.
Bringing a knife to an exposure fight. This is the easiest game of memory ever. They aren't even turning over the cards. Also, she's not even touching matches here to begin with, just randomly picking shapes as if she doesn't even know CinemaSins exists. Also, the real superpower skill here is that she is using this precise touchscreen in front of her by looking at the giant monitor.
Kids, where's my knife? Huh?
These two get into a fight over a missing knife, so we can all chuckle when we find out Rue stole it, not because this place only has one knife.
My father buys her squirrels. He says she hits him right in the eye every time.
Well, that's just mean. You'd think shooting them with the arrow would be enough abuse. According to Katniss, Peeta can throw a 100-pound sack of flour over his head, but this flashback shows him unable to throw this bread far enough that maybe Katniss could catch it, so I'm calling bullshit on the whole flour thing. Also, burning the bread this badly on just one side of the loaf. How do you even do that? I might honestly be Team Peeta's mom on this one. Putting out a big spread like this, as if all the food isn't going to be cold before they even finish the amuse-bouche. 3 bullseyes in a row? This training montage has real Rocky IV, we've created the ultimate weapon, I will break you vibes. Which is fine when you're a cheesy 80s movie, but a bit over the top 30 years later.
Throw that metal thing over there.
What?
I know, right? Be more specific, Katniss. There are several metal things all over this place. You barely nodded a general direction with your head and also gave no indication of where to throw whatever metal thing you all of a sudden think you should throw. This is pointless and non-specific advice, and as such, Katniss is a terrible human being.
Those guys are looking at you like you're a meal.
Pretending as if Josh Hutcherson were not a dish.
How did you do that?
I used to decorate the cakes down at the bakery.
Yeah, I'm sure the demand in District 12 for handcrafted pre-bar cakes is through the roof. Also, I've seen the Great British Bake Off, so I'm not going to say that cake decoration isn't a skill to be respected. But now the movie is claiming that your ability to handle fondant also makes you a proficient special effects makeup artist. That's like saying a mirror glaze is the same as icing. Geez, what is District 3 doing wrong? The 4'8", 65-pound 12-year-old from District 4 has better odds than both of their tributes? Get on the ball, 3. Also, a moment ago, Rue's odds were 60-1, and now they're 7-1. I'm not saying this is impossible, but that would also have to mean something interesting happened off screen, and one would think that a movie exceeding 2 hours could have found a little time to include this. Most people think you can tell an expert by their precision and accuracy, but in movies, you can always tell the expert because they miss first to provide some false tension, skill-doubting bullshit that they can then overcome. I'm not sure which is more unbelievable, the angle on this shot from below pinning the apple to the wall directly across from the pig's mouth, or that these high-powered men wouldn't have a single bit of security or protection from a rogue contestant who wanted to take them out.
From District 1, Marvel, the score of 9.
I'm not sure that score should be valid. I've heard this one may have access to some compound V.
Katniss Everdeen with a score of 11.
This one goes to 11 cliché.
She shot an arrow at your head.
Well, as an apple.
I mean, there are asshole connotations in both cases, so semantics.
This kind of thing does happen at this point. There's only one winner, right?
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Haymitch is foreshadowing so hard here, you can see the future knowledge sauce dripping off his chin. 50% of this audience is wearing hats, and 100% of those hats are obstructing someone's view.
You know her as the girl on fire!
But wasn't Peeta on fire as well? Do people know him as the boy on fire? What's with the blazing discrimination? For a society that uses forced child murder as entertainment, they sure are entertained by the simplest things, huh? Katniss spins around a few times with some fire effects, and the crowd acts like M just dropped new finishing bars on Papa Doc.
Showers. Yes. We have different showers.
Look, this shower conversation is weird, inane, and over the top, but somehow Stanley Tucci is selling it like he's doing Shakespeare on Broadway. I can't help it. I love him in this. 1 cent off for the Tooch. olfactophilia.
He made you look desirable, which in your case can't hurt, sweetheart.
Wait, what? She got a pre-score of 11 out of 12. The evaluators loved her, and the audience was eating up everything she put in front of them with a flaming spoon. Why is he acting like she's in trouble with the sponsors? Also, Haymitch has now called Katniss sweetheart at least 5 times.
Sweetheart, 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 sweetheart.
Is it that he's sexist? Or is it that he's an asshole? Both? Well, I don't know. So here's 5 cents for repetition.
I'm sorry I went after you.
That's funny because I'm not at all sorry that I'm about to skip.
They'll put all kinds of stuff right in front, right in the mouth of the cornucopia.
Haymitch waits until the last second to give Katniss these instructions so that the audience can get some last-second structural exposition. Thanks, Haymitch.
Katniss, you can do this.
Movie never really addresses the fact that Haymitch had to be encouraging to both Katniss and Peeta, and in doing so was encouraging both of them to kill each other. And an examination of what that does to a person would have been more interesting than pretty much everything else we've seen so far. I'm just glad no one checks the clothing for any contraband in this overproduced, down-to-the-last detail reality show. I mean, it's kind of strange, but it sure comes in handy for situations like this. The movie takes 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 18 seconds to officially Hunger Game. But at least the sequels will focus more on the Hunger Gaming, right? Right?
50, 49.
This 50-second countdown will take 57 seconds.
42, 41, 40.
They're using voice augmentation. Because he's a child. Oh, hey, it's that Gale asshole. Remember him? Trying to figure out anything that is going on in this melee through this quick-cut, shaky-cam bullshit. I'm pretty sure a lot of people are dying and such, and that a lot of people are wearing black. That's about as far as I've gotten so far. Katniss creates a trap and has a squirrel roasting on a fire within the first few hours of being in the wilderness, and that's just some insane survivaling speed. I've seen Naked and Afraid. I know what butts look like. I mean, I know how long that stuff can take. Also, taking the time to cook a meal on your first night in the wild when the sounds, smells, and sights could lead to your murder. This person will now use a pen to project a symbol onto a holographic map that will apparently start the montage of the fallen, as opposed to, pressing a button. We don't feel bad for any of these kids because the movie gave them no dialogue and little, if any, screen time.
Oh no! Please don't kill me! Oh no!
That's because you can impress it.
I get that these kids have been trained for this, but were they also picked because they are psychopaths? Militaries train their grown adult soldiers pretty well, and they still get all kinds of fucked up from having to take lives. So this jokey, haha, we did a murder bullshit seems a bit unlikely. I get using the fire to force the tributes together so they have to fight each other. However, killing your star player with a fireball to the face seems like it might negatively affect your ratings.
She's heading towards the left flank.
Okay. Can you give me a tree right there?
Fancy Beard said, "Can you give me a tree?" Can you give me a tree? Also, would this amount of interference and control be fair to the betting markets? Would you bet on a basketball game if the producers were like, okay, the Warriors are winning by too much, let's give Boston a 9-foot hoop and go? This idiot tries to climb a tree with a sword in hand, and upon failing one time, doesn't think to put the sword in a sword pocket and maybe try again. These trained assassins stand directly beneath a giant target and shoot arrows straight up into the air instead of backing up 50 yards and having a clean shot. Is there a reason to apply pressure like this to a burn, other than causing yourself more pain? Movie accidentally gives Jeffrey Bezos the idea for drone deliveries, and giving Jeffrey Bezos ideas is always a sin. Convenient tracker jacker nest is convenient. Oh, and convenient rue in a neighboring tree to point it out is also convenient.
For those of you who don't know,
This movie has a built-in exposition factory, and it's honestly really not fair to the other movies who have to earn it. And now Katniss will fall down in the exact same area she dropped the nest mere seconds ago. Are the angry tracker jackers only interested in going after the people in the area that the plot needs them to?
The venom of a tracker jacker's sting
can produce powerful hallucination.
Why would Katniss be hallucinating exposition from Caesar Flickerman? I mean, this doesn't even serve the viewer, because we just saw him deliver the same information a few minutes ago. Letting your candles burn unevenly.
How long was I asleep?
A couple of days. I changed your leaves twice.
And her clothes too, right? From the urination and such that would happen if you were truly out that long. Also, how did they stay out of harm's way that long? If they went full force fire Hadouken on her ass for trying to hang out on the outskirts, why would they just let these two chill for 2 days with no consequences? That's terrible television.
We need a signal in case one of us gets held up.
Okay, like what?
Here, watch this.
I noticed your pin is the exact bird that I can just hum a tune into the air, and there's always one around to repeat it back to me immediately and echo it through the forest. Can you believe it?
I want to see if she's going to figure out this booby trap.
Caesar and the cast of Saved by the Bell actually thought these poorly buried mines would fool anyone. Putting bombs all around and judging by the explosion also inside your stuff. Then being upset when those very bombs blow your stuff up. No, not Rue. I was fine with all the other bodies, but killing Rue was unacceptable. Am I sinning the movie for making me feel the exact things it wants me to? Yes. Yes, I am. Because it's fucking Rue, damn it. Super nice of the remaining tributes to give Katniss the time to honor Rue with this decorative memorial space. What a kind and understanding bunch of psychopaths they are. 1 full minute of disorienting rebellion porn.
This could get away from you. What do you want?
Haymitch is apparently able to get an audience with whatever character is required to push the plot along.
There are lots of underdogs. And I think if you could see them, you would not root for them either.
Scene ends like President Snow's statement didn't need any further explanation. Where is Caesar Flickerman when you need him?
The regulations requiring a single victor have been suspended. From now on, 2 victors may be crowned if both originate from the same district.
And a hearty fuck you to all the districts who have already lost one of their tributes, and also to those at home who have bet on today's festivities.
Oh my God, Peter!
Movie waits until the hour 47 mark to officially become a comedy. Seriously, let's think about what had to happen for Peter to accomplish this. While injured, he had to find a perfect location that fit his body, find all the supplies needed to camouflage him into this exact environment, lay down in this crevice, then move all the supplies on top of him and apply this texture and tone, perfect makeup job with no possible way to even see what he was doing or the end result. But sure, he nails it because Cake Boss. Movie cannot convince me that this is proper first aid. Hell, I wouldn't believe wringing out this rag into a wound is right even if a doctor told me to do it. Oh hey, it's that Gale asshole again. Remember him? It's like he's contractually obligated to show up every 50 minutes and not say anything because this movie is going to find a way to love triangle if it kills itself to make it happen. Which it almost does.
I think about that all the time. How I tossed you that bread.
Peter.
I should have gone to you.
In case you think this negates my previous sin about the bread tossing, I would like to clarify that the issue was not the act of tossing, but his weak-ass throw.
After that, I watched you going home every day. Every day.
I mean, I wasn't going to call you a creepy stalker until you whispered every day, you creepy stalker.
There's no way I'm letting you go.
The power of boners convinces Peter that he wants to die of an infection. Instead of grabbing everyone's gift, D5 girl only grabs her own like she isn't even trying to win this thing. Katniss misses 2 point-blank arrow shots because she sucks at archery, but only when the plot requires it. I'd tell you who was winning this fight if I could fucking see anything.
Yeah, well, we killed her. And now, we're gonna kill you.
But only after we monologue for a bit so our plans can be thwarted. You know, movie villain rules as they are and such. Sensually caressing someone's open wounds. Who directed this, Cronenberg?
That's Nightlock, Peter! You'll be dead in a minute!
Remind me again why I want Katniss to end up with either one of these doofuses.
What are you doing?
Maybe Cato likes berries too.
Sure, but he's probably not going to accept these as a gift, and nobody wants berries that look this stepped on.
Why is it getting so dark?
Must be in a hurry to end it.
Sure, either that or they're about to introduce a computer-generated dog creature whose lame creature design they need to hide.
Did you hear that?
Any suspense that could be had from not knowing what's out there was immediately killed by our hologram reveal of the random beast now stalking them. So instead of being worried, the audience is now just waiting for the thing to attack them. Having Thresh be eaten off screen because he cared about Rue and saved Katniss that one time. 2 things that must mean he's a good guy, and so our good guys couldn't possibly kill another good guy. That would create nuanced feelings. She just creates these demon dogs out of thin air, and you can claim advanced technology all you want, but I'm still going to counter by claiming the law of conservation of matter. Also, PETA is then able to outrun a genetically modified super beast while running on an injured leg. Even after using the super healing lip balm, he should not be faster than Thresh would have been with 2 good legs. Cato does this to build suspense instead of taking the easy win by just pushing them off the cornucopia.
Stop! Stop!
Look, we've seen them create fires and dogs and change rules however they see fit. And you're telling me they can't just rustle up some other contrivance to make sure these 2 can't pull a Romeo and Juliet? For that matter, isn't that a better ending to the show? People would talk about that shit forever. My point is, we're supposed to believe that Katniss and Peeta just outwitted the game, but I think the game just gave up because the movie needed to end.
You saved my life.
We saved each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star-crossed lovers from District 12.
This celebrity couple's name is Penis.
Wait a minute, did she hallucinate this dude before she shot? Because that opens up a can of worms. If she thought she was shooting turkeys, this shot is awful. If she thought she was shooting at this dude, she's awful. Hero in the sequel has PTSD about the events in the previous film cliché. How do the companies that create these video displays stay in business? This picture is awful, and it looks way less convenient than technology we currently have today. Hey, I want a video playing device that has a transparent image so I can also look behind it while I watch it. Convoluted plot development has the president of the entire society forcing Katniss to pretend to be in love just to serve this weak-ass love triangle that was weak-ass already in the first f***ing movie. Oh yeah, apparently everything in this society is videotaped. Probably mentioned in the book somewhere, but it sure as surprised me. Answer me this, assholes. Why the f*** do they need cameras right outside her door if they can just pull up high-definition video of her randomly kissing in an alley any old time they want?
All you need to do is give a few speeches, wave to the crowds.
Alright, 14 minutes in and they're about to do what we came to see. Speeches and waving.
I said, enjoy it, Katniss. You've earned it. By killing people.
If I recall, you barely killed anyone in the last movie. You nearly got through the whole thing without having to do it once. And one of the bad guys conveniently killed your new friend Rue for you. And Peeta didn't kill anyone that I recall. He was too busy camouflaging himself to look like a tree to kill anyone. If the information in that room is that sensitive, why have the door cracked open in the first place, huh, asshole?
I'm really not in the mood for a lecture. I'll apologize to Effie later. Here, Haymitch.
You might have been expecting a lecture, but would it have hurt you to make the tiniest of glances in that direction to make sure it was him before you started ranting?
See, Katniss, the way the whole friend thing works is you have to tell each other the deep stuff.
See, I said the exact same sentence to a girl once, but I swapped the word give instead of tell. It was not well received.
Green. What's yours?
Later on, when this movie is over and you realize it's f***ing 2.5 hours long, the scene about the favorite colors begins to feel less and less important. Rue looks a year older than she did when she died, putting away script to say something heartfelt cliche. These people still have no idea how to properly flip someone off. Shouldn't President Snow be able to watch and listen to this conversation with his omniscient cameras?
He thinks that they don't believe our love story.
You should have told me that before I went out there and tried to give these people their money.
Dude, you went off script, remember? Also, what does any of this have to do with making the people believe you guys are madly in love? The guy got killed because he did the Mockingjay thing while Katniss gave her Rulogy.
What about them? Who protects them?
Haymitch suddenly cares about non-Haymitch people.
Katniss, what were you thinking?
It sounded like she was paying tribute to Rue. Didn't Effie say it was customary to give eulogies? Even if Katniss and Peeta had made out on stage, wouldn't the eulogy part still have potentially led to that guy getting shot, even if they were reading off cards? I am f***ing confused. He looks pretty good for a guy who was shot in the head. Come to think of it, the steps look immaculate.
Peeta. Will you stay with me?
Ah, geez, she's not actually gonna fall in love with him now, is she? I barely understand this thing when Snow was watching it at the Everdeen house, but his own house? Is this the best a rich man can do with TV technology in the future? Even though Katniss and Peeta have been taken off stage, the broadcast is still showing all the angry people.
Instead of being in love, you two sound like you're reciting from a drilling manual.
You guys are still going with the we've got to show them how much in love we are angle? After all you've seen, does that shit really matter?
You could get married.
All these people are rioting because they live lives, and they don't like that their young people are thrown into a battle royale every year. You think a marriage is going to make them forget that? This isn't some creepy Capitol guy touching Katniss. This is some creepy extra touching Jennifer Lawrence.
Hold hands.
If Katniss and Peeta heard that, then certainly some Capitol people heard that and know this marriage is a sham.
What's this?
It's for when you're full.
It makes you sick. So you can go on eating.
How else could you taste everything?
Wow, a society that's racist, classist, and bulimic. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in a movie that is beneath him in this scene. Haha, gross. Again with the cracked open security door? Are you f***ing kidding me? Did a 12-year-old write this movie? What the f***ing fuck?
But maybe if we got away from here, if we went somewhere safe, it could be different.
Or maybe President Snow is recording this conversation and you're giving away your entire plans, you forgetful, stupid person. Every last soldier doesn't see Gale running toward their commander right now. I'm trying to figure out whether this is brave or stupid. I mean, maybe Gale thinks he'll be a martyr or something, but he really doesn't seem to have much of a plan before tackling this guy. I better run. That sounds exactly like my secret boyfriend getting beaten in the square.
You recognize her? Katniss Everdeen?
F***ing seriously?
Get him more snow.
Man, they would have been f***ed if Gale had gotten himself whipped in the summertime.
The broadcast cut out here.
After Gale tackled this dude, they immediately went here for the flogging, and they got a camera at a slightly elevated angle to broadcast it. But where's the camera? It would have to be in this building somewhere. If they have cameras everywhere, including this scene where they caught the stolen kiss, then how can Katniss somehow sneak out into the woods into restricted areas whenever she wants? Let's face it, these cameras are wherever the movie needs them to be for the convenience of the plot.
The male and female tributes are to be reaped from the existing pool of victors in each district.
I take it from the reaction that this is the wrinkle Plutarch was talking about, and it was unexpected. But what were the rules of the other quarter quells? The movie sure as hell isn't telling you that. 47 minutes in, and we're still just setting shit up here.
Peeta has to survive. We have to do whatever it takes to save him.
What? Since when is Peeta Neo? Why is he the one that obviously needs saving?
If they call his name, I'll volunteer in his place.
But that isn't how this quarter quell should work at all. How can you have an all-star edition of the Hunger Games but still leave the volunteering intact? I know they just want Katniss in the games and they know no one can volunteer for her, but with such a small pool of contestants, leaving that rule in is dumb.
We should have gone when you said.
What a dick. The last time we saw people do this three-finger flip-off salute, a dude got shot in the head for it, and people died. But this time, f*** it. We got these games, so we're fine with letting people rebel now.
But this year you'll be facing other victors, and they all know one another.
Why is that? We saw Katniss and Peeta went back to live in District 12 after they won, except for the victory tour, which was a whopping 12 days, so when did the victors from the previous games have time to spend with other previous year's victors to get to know one another? Do they have conventions, like, annually, and Katniss and Peeta just haven't been victors long enough for this year's convention to occur?
I want you guys to forget everything you think you know.
Forget everything you think you know, cliché.
You go it alone, their first move is going to be to hunt you down.
I don't know what Haymitch expects here. Katniss can't even make the relationship between she and Peeta believable. How's she going to win friends with all the other killers who are already friends with each other? Did they all continue a rigorous workout regimen after they won? Did not a single previous victor ever have the moral quandary about winning that Katniss and Peeta have? Did more than 5 seconds of thought go into the plot of this movie?
The Morphlings, masters of camouflage.
Does every district have a male and female winner from different years to even go to this? Because I'm calling bullshit on that. Wouldn't there be districts that don't even have any victors?
But I would love to borrow that outfit someday.
Katniss doesn't borrow that outfit right now. With the arrival of Toby Jones, we now have way too many people who played Truman Capote in this movie. That is a ton of timpani. Oh, I see they spent a good portion of the bigger sequel budget on the fire effects. Still not enough, though.
From District 11?
This is what any of us would want to do upon meeting Jennifer Lawrence, but actually doing it? That's a sin, man. Not cool. Cameraman forgets to pan down. Isn't Peeta gonna brush up on his cake decorating? What's the point of the individual evaluations? Are these people not all already cleared for the games simply by being chosen? Are they gonna disqualify you if the talent portion of your program isn't satisfying to them? I mean, someone painted a picture on the floor here as their skill. That old-ass lady did something, God knows what, maybe hugging. But is there really anything on the line here? Do they have another female former victor that can take Katniss's place if she somehow flunks this f***ing evaluation? All the other tributes use words to try and win over the sponsors, but Katniss's only weapon is fashion. I have a feeling Snow isn't gonna go his way. So even the psychopaths in this group don't want these games to happen? Why does the fashion designer go with the tribute when they're about to get thrown into the games? Who does Peeta have escorting him? It's not Effie.
The more allies she betrays, the more friends she kills, the more she reveals her true self.
Why is President Snow even buying this? Katniss is not a real killer, and the last games proved that. It takes 83 minutes for the actual Hunger Games to begin in the second Hunger Games movie. You could start this movie, go and watch the entirety of South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, 81 minutes, including credits, and still get back before the actual games start. And I suggest you actually do it that way.
Duck.
Random psycho killer apparently had no plan when he ran towards these two, but man, were his footsteps ever silent. How did Peeta win? Did he choke that dude to death underneath the water after that dude pulled him down? That was f***ing quick for a guy who's never killed anyone before. Unnecessary tension over whether Peeta might die when we all know that if he dies, it won't be because he hacked a force field with a sword.
Cannon ready.
Here we go with those cannon ready orders again. Doesn't the cannon person know their job? Are they too busy doing Sudoku puzzles?
Do you want to stand up?
Katniss asks a guy whose heart stopped if he wants to stand up 4 seconds after it started beating again. Stupid Pan Am game maker programs colorful lizard into the game arena just so the director can have this fun little establishing shot. Here are all those people we didn't have time to give a shit about.
What is it?
I think it's a spile.
I guess Haymitch can't write on the note what the gift is. She's got to guess. Cheating.
Finnick, we have to go.
I'm amazed they got this far away from the fog to be able to care for Peeta and then have this dramatic moment, but the fog was right on top of them just before Finnick started screaming. Sorry, you should be dead. Get a cannon ready. Magical Hill comes up out of nowhere to help them fall to safety. Now the fog is disappearing altogether. We learn later it's because each threat is contained to its own quadrant, but that's really f***ing stupid. How can you have tributes running through an invisible force field that somehow contains fog? Magical water comes out of nowhere to help wash off the poison.
We need our weapons.
Katniss makes it sound like Peeta should just be able to quickly backtrack a route they took while running in panic from a killer fog. Sci-fi heroes surrounded by angry monkeys cliché. Well, our common ancestor isn't a monkey, but I have a feeling that the villains in movies copied their one-at-a-time attack patterns. Clever application of the monkeys hate saltwater science fact, which everyone knows. How can she possibly still have that many arrows left? That's like the same amount she had in the first place.
Do you have fresh water?
We can get some.
How? Peeta left the spile in the tree way back when the f***ing monkeys attacked.
See anything? Dickory dock.
These freaking idiots immediately start ignoring the genius who helped them figure out the clock thing, even though she's still clearly rambling important things. Oh, come on. You know for a fact that's not Prim. I mean, seriously, come on. They might have been better off just leaving the fire effect shitty and giving the extra CGI budget to these jabberjays.
If you die, and I live, I'd have nothing. Nobody else that I care about.
What was all that bullshit you were screaming earlier about having a family to protect?
Well, I have family too. Okay, people that I need to protect.
Because gravity.
The plan was always to get you out.
And put you in the most difficult arena in the history of the Hunger Games to accomplish that plan. Also, what was the plan before Katniss shot the dome with her electric arrow? Sure, they cut out her tracker, but everything is televised. You know, nothing is secret. How are they going to accomplish all of this without Katniss doing what she did?
I got a mountain time.
Gale tells Katniss he got the mountain time, so she has to figure out what the hell he meant by that. Okay, so there's no more District 12, lots of stuff hanging in the air, and you won't be able to see what happens until next year, when we deliver you The Hunger Games Mockingjay. Part 1. Oh, and by the way, you. Over 10 damn minutes of credits.
My name is Katniss Everdeen. My home is District 12. I was in the Hunger Games. I escaped. Peeta.
In 5 seconds, Katniss basically sums up what happened in Catching Fire. If I'd known she was going to do that, I would have saved myself the trouble of watching it.
You can't be in here.
This is a closed set for the next Alien movie. For an underground bunker used by a defeated society in a post-apocalyptic dystopian future, that hospital setup seems pretty sweet. How the hell was she able to keep up with that Pearl through all the events that happened between Peeta giving it to her and right now? I get that she has feelings for him, but I have feelings for my wife, and I'm on wedding ring number 3.
Finnick.
I wanted to go back for Peeta and Joanna.
No time for useless pleasantries. We wasted all our dialogue time in the last movie. Prepare yourself for 2 hours of brooding and washed out color palettes, because turning this story into a 2-parter means you gotta pad out the runtime. This place is fucking massive, yet they expect me to believe that they were able to construct this underground facility in complete secrecy without one of President Stone's omniscient cameras getting wind of it?
Capital bomb has surfaced to rubble, but we're military, so we learn to survive down here.
For 75 fucking years. Presumably they stored up on vitamin D injections. Also, how many people are living down there? A few thousand? How many people live in any of the districts? Is Pan Am home to only, 100,000 people?
Madam President, may I present you with The Mockingjay.
Philip Seymour Hoffman and Julianne Moore are in a movie that is beneath them in this scene.
I can't imagine what it's like to live through the atrocities of those games.
It wasn't terrible. I'd probably give it a PG-13 rating, and I think the MPAA would agree with me.
President Al McCoy.
Watching scores of young adult movie adaptations, I have been trained not to trust a woman in power, especially if they're played by a respected actress. So score 1 for the glass ceiling, y'all.
Are you aware of what's happened?
Well, since she's been in her hospital room having nightmares since she got here, and you're the first person to explain anything, I would imagine the answer to this question is a resounding no.
So we're gonna shoot a series of propaganda clips. Propos, I like to call them.
What, was Candace too silly?
Peeta was the one who was supposed to live!
But f***ing why, though? I'd hope that during the next 4 hours they're going to devote to telling the rest of this story. We would get some sort of explanation for why Peeta is some sort of golden boy, but I'm sure we won't.
Maybe you should have rescued the boy instead.
So he could teach everyone how to make themselves look like a tree? Because that's the only thing he brings to the table.
They'll follow her. She's the face of the revolution.
And in 50 years, college students will wear t-shirts emblazoned with Katniss's face. Giant military planes remain unnoticed by the all-seeing Capitol. Plutarch and Coin allow Katniss to visit District 12, basically by herself. Her only cover is Gale, whose only weapon is possibly being confused for Thor. Hunger Games predicts the fall of the Hall of Justice several years before Warner Brothers does it in real life. How are they going to know to come back and get her? Did we agree on a set time? Or is she just going to flail about for a minute so they'll realize that she's ready to go? Movie expects me to believe that everyone in District 12 was killed, except for this dog. If he survived, then there has to be some scared kid in a closet somewhere, right? Did the Capitol fly over District 12, destroying all the buildings, get to the last 2 and say, okay, that's enough, let's go home? I'm glad they did, or Katniss's exploratory visit would have been severely cut short. Katniss abuse. Oh my god, it's the thing from the first movie that I forgot about until right now. Her house was bugged. Who could have ever guessed? Oh, that's right, everyone. This shot made me think my aspect ratio was broken.
Which is why all images of the Mockingjay are now forbidden.
Is a braid one of the most common hairstyles in world history only associated with Katniss now?
Smuggled him in.
Does it still count as smuggling if it's just in your bag and no one checks? Also, that cat is fucking fat. It's better not to think about how it got that way in a town full of corpses. Also, thanks for making me Google, do cats eat dead bodies?
I don't know what they'll do if they find him here.
So, Buttercup tastes pretty good, right? Is that supposed to be the Waltz of the Flowers from the Nutcracker? Because it is.
Many who find this suspicious, to say the least. It seems as though she was part of a rebel plan.
And they would be right to think that. But what actually happened was the rebels just happened to luck the f*** out. Let's just take a second to call out the most uncomfortable collar I've ever seen. Maybe this is just a fancy way for the peacekeepers to hold a knife to his throat.
We almost went extinct once before.
Was this near extinction worldwide? Do other nations still exist? Do the former Canada or Mexico at least have any stake in Pan Am's civil war?
Everyone needs to lay down their weapons immediately.
Why do you think he said that?
Katniss doesn't rightfully assume that he is being forced to say this because the Capitol is holding him prisoner, because that's obviously what is happening.
Can't sleep.
Nope, she's just having a hard time with those futuristic sleeping lights.
Even if we win this war, what happens to Peeta?
Did Peeta cast a spell on her or something? She went from being pretty blasé about Peeta in the first and most of the second movie to lamenting him in basically every scene so far in this movie.
What about Haymitch?
He's drying out in some facility a mile down.
The secret underground military bunker has a rehab.
You honestly believe one of these cave dwellers is going to take my place?
Weren't you all hot and bothered just seconds ago about not wanting to help? Movie is simply making these characters resist doing anything just enough to try and convince me that these scenes contained actual conflict.
Anyone can be replaced.
Not Philip Seymour Hoffman, judging by the wonky CGI in the last film.
There isn't a soul in this dungeon who knows the first thing about Katniss.
Except her mother, her sister, and her lifelong friend and hunting partner. I get that Prim is a nurse, which explains her outfit, but why are the nurses the only ones that get to wear something that's not a janitor jumpsuit?
I hardly ever see children around here.
Child labor laws make it difficult to hire them as extras.
For the extraction of the victors held hostage in the Capitol. Peeta Mellark.
How colossally stupid are these people? Can someone explain to them how being a prisoner works?
If Katniss Everdeen fails to fulfill her duties, the deal will be off.
Even though leadership knew this speech was happening, they didn't decide to put Katniss under protective custody, even though they knew her conditions would piss everyone off. They don't have any battle plans, but they do have a fashion lookbook.
There's not much of a prep team here in 13, but we will make you the best dressed rebel in history.
Well, yeah, that's the most important thing about a rebellion, the outfits.
Cinna's final touch.
Effie clearly lost the pin, was frantically looking for it, and tried to cover all that up by saying this, and pinning it on Katniss right before they start shooting.
Okay, let's bring up the setting.
Good thing these people have a holodeck.
People of Panem, we fight, we dare, we...
Does she know the line?
I know it, I'm sorry.
Jesus H. Christ, are we really spending time with this? I'm too f***ing bored to make a witty observation at this point. Snarky asshole slow clap cliche.
Maybe I don't recognize you sober.
Well, Katniss, the important thing is that you're a dick about it. Did they really need to CG the flag? Wouldn't it be cheaper to get her a real one?
You know, I like you better, Effie, without all that makeup.
Oh, I like you better sober.
Movie continues to make light of Haymitch's alcoholism.
When she chose Rue as an ally as well.
Yeah, you remember Rue, right? Back when this was just a Battle Royale ripoff and way more fun?
We can't guarantee her safety.
Remember when you sent her to District 12 unarmed and pretty much all by herself? You were still wanting her to be the Mockingjay then, but clearly had very little concern for her safety.
She's still a girl. You made her look 35.
Someone tell that to David O. Russell.
I've made you some surprises.
Because you know what was missing from this series? A scene with Q.
I couldn't just make you a fashion accessory.
I guess high-level computer hacking skills lend themselves to being an excellent boyer.
Regular, incendiary, explosive arrows.
Because there is no way she's going to mix that one up. Also, geez, dude, you've got that kind of weapon just lying around for any asshole to pick up at a moment's notice?
You had all of this, and you just left the districts to fend for themselves?
If she had added, and we wasted time making dumbass propaganda videos, then we might have had to hire Katniss to write for CinemaSins.
And your cameraman over there, Castor?
Hello.
And Pollux.
Was the screenwriter a big fan of Face Off or something? Also, I've seen enough Star Trek to know that one of these dudes is definitely dying later.
You're alive then? We weren't sure.
Weird, that's exactly how my doctor greets me for my checkups.
Just let them see your face.
It's real hard for them to see your face when no one is paying attention because they are too busy not dying. But suddenly her presence heals them just enough to stop writhing with pain so they can look up at her silently. Also, I like the scene way better when it was in Gone with the Wind. Are there any Girl Scouts out there that are bothered that this movie jacked their salute?
We need to find cover now.
Where the f*** did that siren come from? Does the janky refugee hospital have radar detection? If they do, it clearly doesn't help them out too much. Move! Move? You're too goddamn late. Really? You think you're going to... you probably will. These bombers have shot down literally every other person shooting at them. You know, the guys with actual guns. But they can't manage to hit Daryl and Hawkeye over here, even though they're just standing in plain view.
Where the Capitol just bombed a hospital filled with unarmed men, women, and children.
We don't get to see the moment when they go back to the base and realize her mic was off and they had to overdub all of this. Was BT able to hack into the Capitol's cameras that are omniscient only when it's convenient to the plot? If not, then there's no other explanation for how they got that shot.
that our moment has arrived.
The rebels are all very excited about their propo and that hospital getting destroyed. This is a maddening number of goons required to make sure that no one does anything traitorous. How does the Capitol even pay all their salaries? This plan requires all these dudes to be the worst shots ever. And I guess they left the bond duty to one dude? What if that one specific guy got shot? Game over, man! Game over!
If we burn, you burn with us!
Even though they're being watched around the clock by peacekeepers, they were able to find the time to put landmines in the forest. Maybe the peacekeepers can't see very well through those masks. That would explain their shooting skills.
I got good news. Coin agreed to let us hunt above ground.
And I've got bad news. Coin has terrible judgment. Hunting scene was necessary to bloat the running time of a part 1. Hero now has compassion for all living creatures cliché.
Because I've never been hunted before. It's almost not fair.
Because that's what hunting is all about, fairness.
They want us back.
You only had 5 minutes to hunt and you ruined it.
He's changed so much already. What are they doing now?
Sweet.
By the looks of it, they are just feeding him a little less.
I don't.
No, he's not.
I have to show them.
There's been a whole lot of showing, and not a lot of Hunger Gamesing. I'm starting to think the whole 2-part thing is just a way to make double my money for the same amount of movie. No GoPro helmet this time? How many different types of cameras do we need to shoot these videos? The relationship between Gale, Peeta, and Katniss is like a love Bermuda Triangle, because I'm fucking lost. Ah yes, the need for a part 1 becomes abundantly clear when you just see everyone outside enjoying nature.
That line was originally Necklace of Rope.
Which doesn't exist, and also don't make sense in the context of a song about a hanging tree.
I designed this signal defense system,
And I based it on the Iron Man miniaturized arc reactor.
but I can't find my way through it.
You can't figure out how to penetrate your own system? Who do you think you are, Apple? Even though District 13 has a giant arsenal of weapons, they don't find a way to arm the rebels, forcing them into suicide missions. The rebels were able to destroy this seemingly robust dam with a couple crates of dynamite. This dam was probably designed by the same people that designed the version of the Hoover Dam that was featured in the San Andreas movie. Also, movie turns into 2012. Also, I have terrible news. Everyone died.
Goodness.
Alright, 2 things. 1, Peeta conveniently fades back in just so we know that he sees the video, because, plot. 2, what's with the VHS tape tracking effect? This dystopian future must be set in 1994.
They're coming, Katniss. That was a warning.
Between this...
That's it. That's our footage.
Speedy's in.
And this...
He sees our propo.
I'm starting to wonder if there's a gas leak down there that is causing everyone to state obvious things.
Mom!
Considering how many people are in this bunker, Katniss was able to find her mom in an unreasonably short amount of time.
I thought she went to find you.
Bad parenting. Premature sigh of relief.
You went back for the cat? I wasn't gonna leave him behind.
I know, Brad.
Katniss follows up with this, instead of, that's a terrible excuse, it's just a cat, and he's survived 1 bombing already, so he'd probably be fine. How did the Capitol know to go to this specific area and start bombing? If they knew about this place, then surely they have enough people to spy around the area and find all the weaknesses, right? But they just give up after this 1 bombing, like, well, they probably learned their lesson. Movie becomes a delightful cat video.
He's taunting us with them. I didn't understand until just now, watching that stupid cat.
Whoever the screenwriter is for this movie has no faith in the audience to make any connection to their own, and is making the side of my head rather sore.
I drag myself out of nightmares and there's no relief in waking up.
Finnick should write dashboard confessional lyrics. Either they went back and dropped the roses after the fact with unbelievable accuracy, or those roses have neutron star level density and cause that crater.
Can you speak up? We don't have a mic on you.
When have you ever had a mic on her?
13 is alive and well. 13 is alive and well, and so am I. 13 is alive and well, and so am I.
I bet if she keeps saying that over and over, Katniss will start saying it too.
I can't be the Mockingjay.
Not the Mockingjay.
Yeah, you don't have to be the Mockingjay, you just have to be the Mockingjay Part 1.
You know, I can never fully support that woman in light of the prohibition they have going on around this place.
If you weren't aware, Haymitch is an alcoholic.
What are you just gonna jump out of the vent and go storm the Capitol?
Haymitch, I've got this. I don't need your help sitting this movie.
On the center there, those rocks.
That could mean literally anywhere.
Mockingjay 1, Mockingjay 1.
I'm gonna call that a roll credits. Everyone knows this is a trap, right? There's no way they could sneak a plane into the Capitol, fly at a very low altitude where anyone could hear them, then aggressively shoot out the top of this building without anyone noticing.
I never asked to be in the games.
Technically, she did. She volunteered.
It's a trap!
Can we all just agree that no one can say it's a trap except Admiral Akbar? Oh man, she's real sad now. She busted out a second tier.
Every gun was back online and on us, and we flew right past them. They let us go.
You mean, like exactly what happened in Star Wars? So the whole plan was to mind control Peeta, so he'd attack Katniss when he got back to the hidden rebel base. But why not the other people they sent back, like Johanna and Annie? And did they really think he'd get a good chance to kill her? I mean, don't get me wrong, he's getting some good shots in, but this is some half-baked right here. The Capitol turned Peeta into a reverse Hulk.
They turned him into a weapon, Katniss, to kill you.
With all this sci-fi going on, why didn't they just turn Peeta into an atomic bomb or something? Or why didn't they make it so they could track him, so they could see where the rebel base is?
that the victors have been liberated.
They all seem pretty excited about that, even though only a few days ago they all thought the victors were traitors. If the Capitol only programmed him to want to kill Katniss, then why is he freaking out in this room by himself? Also, I guess this is for the best. If Katniss and Peeta ended up together, their celebrity couple name would be Penis, which is something I think we all want to avoid. We hope you enjoyed half a story for full price. Now wait a year for the exciting conclusion.
Let's try your voice now. My name is Katniss Everdeen. I'm from District 12.
Unnecessary, over-the-top expositional line. Also, couldn't they start her out on something a little simpler? She can't f***ing talk.
We're gonna test his response on someone he remembers from home.
Someone that will be a surprise to you and the audience. Wait, Katniss doesn't have to wear a jumpsuit, but Prim, who moments earlier didn't have to wear a jumpsuit, is now wearing a jumpsuit. Did they roll out new outfits between the day that happened between the last film and this film? Good thing Peeta's wearing the standard issue modesty leggings provided by this underground hospital.
Snow has to pay for what he's done.
Her damaged vocal cords, speaking voice sounds just like my morning after a really good night voice. This will they won't they with these two just needs to be a won't they, because they clearly don't want to dedicate any time to having Katniss's emotions toward Gale make any sense.
It's like kissing someone who's drunk. Doesn't count.
This micro PSA is brought to you by the Cosby Consortium.
That's an application of the hummingbird trap.
This is why YA is so popular, because it lets teens fantasize that adults give a shit about their dumbass ideas.
I guess there are no rules anymore about what a person can do to another person.
This society killed children for sport. There were never any rules.
This is the nut.
Ah, the hologram, the make your movie look futuristic and stupid at the same time CGI crutch that, despite years and years of progress, never improves.
We took heavy losses.
Gwendolyn Christie's acting specialty is showing up as a military commander for all of 4 minutes in blockbuster films.
Your people have suffered more than just about anyone else at the hands of the Capitol.
Which is why I won't condone a mass suicide.
Also because they already did that at the dam in District 5.
There's civilians in there.
In the underground, impossible to penetrate military compound? What the hell for? Does the movie not really want to show us this avalanche plan they just cooked up? Hasn't the series made enough money to show it? Probably not. We just want to stay here with Katniss while she looks extra concerned.
That's why I killed Cato. And he killed Thresh. And Thresh killed Clove.
I can't even remember who any of these people are anymore. This may be more of a sin on me, but I don't have a sin counter, so... Cinna made her suit bulletproof, which is great. What's even better is that this wasn't a headshot. I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. These displays are the f***ing worst. They're the quality of an old CRT television, complete with analog tape tracking, but they are also slightly transparent, which is a terrible idea if you want to watch what is on the screen and not what is behind it.
We toasted a glorious era coming to its bitter end.
Snow's poisoning game is so impeccably timed, Antonius was able to hear all of Snow's speech just before dying. Also, the Capitol embraces the names, murdering tactics, and general decadence of the Roman Empire, but they are surprisingly short on orgies.
Cinna saw to that. Of course your costume would be bulletproof.
I would sure as f*** hope so. This movie seems to imply that not everyone is wearing bulletproof clothing, which would be f***ing dumb, given that they're always going into active war zones.
The whole tacky romance drama and the defender of the hopeless act, even though it's not an act, which makes it even more unbearable.
This basically sums up why I don't like any of these movies.
All I know is that I would have saved myself a lot of suffering if I had just given that bread to the pig.
I know he's supposed to be all brainwashed against Katniss, but he's not wrong.
As far as the soldiers know, you survived a bullet to the heart.
Because all the soldiers are idiots and can't assume that giant rigid plate she was wearing on her chest was bulletproof. Wedding between two people I don't care about is about par for the course when it comes to all the weddings I witness. Also, this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and it has time for this bullshit. Everyone still has to wear janitor jumpsuits, except for Effie, who gets to wear her Lady Gaga outfits again. And even though this takes place in an entirely different universe than ours, the people of Pan Am still have to deal with folksy, rustic, chic weddings.
I guess I could just stay here and cover for you.
Only a few minutes earlier, she was lamenting about how much she didn't like Katniss, and now she's willing to assist her with her half-baked plan to kill President Snow. Of all the things to survive whatever apocalypse resulted in Pan Am, I can't believe fiddle music was one of them. 360 hug. Am I supposed to believe that Katniss was able to sneak into this giant armory from the living quarters and hop onto a cargo plane, all while being Katniss, one of the most recognizable people in all of Pan Am? I guess so. Just so future dystopian dictators are aware, it's probably a good idea to build at least one other city to rule from. It's really hard to flee the capital when there's literally nowhere else to go. Her outfit is about 3 steps away from the fashion of Bill and Ted's reality, so I figure the Hunger Games have to happen before people start being excellent to one another.
President Snow is building a minefield of traps.
The next thing she says isn't we have a giant map of it, so it will be very easy to avoid these traps.
I know when you're gonna go off on your own.
If Katniss is planning on going off on her own, then why would she let everyone know she was in the capital by walking out of the cargo vessel in plain sight? Now all the rebels in the capital will know she's missing when she goes off on her own, which may end up not being a problem because she went missing in 13 and no one seemed to give a shit.
Each one of you is elite in some form of combat.
Except for the 2 cameramen and the director, they're elite in pizzazz.
Because we don't want the game makers to know we have this intel. It has a self-destruct on it.
Yeah, but doesn't the fact that if you survive even a couple of those booby traps tell them that?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 76th Hunger Games.
If only. Do you know why you originally wanted to see The Hunger Games? It was because of the f***ing Hunger Games. Yeah, it was brutal and terrible, but it was a hell of a lot more fun than this Revolution bullshit. Would you have paid to see either of these two Mockingjay movies if it weren't for the first two Hunger Games? Probably not. Didn't they blow up this dam in the last movie? I guess it's a different dam, but since I have no idea where the other dam was or why it was important, I reserve the right to claim the filmmakers didn't either. Was that manufactured by Tiger Electronics? Just out of frame, the cast of Maze Runner Scorch Trials is avoiding Wicked.
Hold it. Pollock's tighter.
If they're going to film them shooting at the pods and use the footage for more propos, how is that not going to give away that they all know where the pods are? Look, I get why the game makers made all these booby traps for the rebels to run through and everything, but I don't know why they made this obstacle course so sporting. This is war. You can make it super unfair if you want to. How the rebels even got this far is amazing. Oh no, an exploding car that makes absolutely no impact to the scene whatsoever.
They want us to add him to the propo. Show that he's on our side now.
The rebel brass seem to care way more about making videos than formulating battle tactics.
Friend, lover, victor, fiance.
The cook, the thief, his wife, her lover.
You will be a vital part of the democracy that follows our victory.
Be a vital part of the democracy that follows our victory.
You got it.
The guy recited each line one at a time after the line was fed to him. He has yet to say it all together. He does not got it. This shit is stupid. I mean, yeah, it would kill you all right, but what about slamming a big metal gate down so they can't go any farther? Or bombs, or the dogs with bees in their mouths that shoot bees at you. Hell, if there's a possibility that the rebels were going to trigger this booby trap, I'd also booby trap the place where they were taking cover right now. I mean, Jesus. Also, this Hunger Games is like the first scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark, except it's basically the whole f***ing movie. Even after constant warnings about how there might be pods we don't know about, Boggs still decides to trust his little gizmo without any hesitation.
Katniss, don't trust them.
Guy who's dying still has the moxie to play the f***ing pronoun game. Where is this tar coming from? Good of that overflowing river of oil to stop flowing right at this very spot, so that Peeta can attack Katniss and neither of them dies. I think we're leaving teen dystopian future movie and heading towards a softcore Saw movie. Hunger Games series, having already copied 2012 last time, copies The Day After Tomorrow in the finale. I guess it would have been unreasonable for the black sludge to continue rising, so they drew the line at convenience. How did all that overflowing oil retreat back to where it came from? Do they have some sort of vacuum or something to bring all that oil back? Seems like it would be in the Capitol's best interest just to leave the ocean of oil there, strand these people, and starve them to death. It looks like they've decided to hide out in the bottle from I Dream of Jeannie. I guess every structure the Capitol has built is extremely brittle and could be destroyed with a relatively small amount of explosives. The future depicted in this series is violent and bleak, but at least everyone gets really good reception, even in the middle of battles.
Katniss Everdeen seems to have met a violent end.
The rebels didn't really hide when they ran across the courtyard, and they could definitely be seen in that footage the Capitol just broadcast. Yet the Peacekeepers only shot where the bullets were coming from, and nothing else. The Capitol really needs to work on getting their cameras to work all the time, instead of just when it's convenient to our main characters. These four were Capitol citizens, and therefore exempt from the Hunger Games, so why did they have these glamour shots on file? Also, this isn't an actual Hunger Games where they should honor the fallen, and Caesar just talked about how they were foolish, so why the f*** is the Capitol even wasting their time with this in memoriam reel?
So, Katniss Everdeen, a poor, unstable girl with nothing but a small talent with a bow and arrow, is dead.
Earlier in the movie, President Snow said this shit.
You have a habit of burying people before they're dead.
But here he is doing the exact same thing. Didn't see a body of any kind, but declares Katniss dead. And it's not even a propaganda film. He really thinks she's dead.
For those of you who don't know me, please allow me to introduce myself.
The Capitol, with all its vast resources, can't seem to figure out a way to keep the rebels from hijacking broadcasts.
I had no idea I meant so much to her.
She's been a propaganda pawn since the first Hunger Games, and it's not like we don't know at this point that Coin is shady. The quasi-snarky attitude she's copying here really comes off as naive.
My brother knows these tunnels really well.
Of course he does, and when they arrive at the hedge maze that I'm sure this movie has, there will be a guy who built the maze in their small propaganda party. Also, the Capitol booby-trapped everywhere above ground, but never once thought the underground tunnels would be a place where a rebel force might try to enter. Man, these subway tunnels are super well lit for places where people shouldn't be walking around in the first place. I bet the Capitol's electricity bills are insane. If dictators have one strength, it's keeping the trains running during a revolution.
We're too exposed here.
Yeah, but no booby traps, so it's better than above ground, right?
They survived. I don't know how.
I do. They walked up one flight of stairs and didn't get shot at. Pretty simple to me.
You're gonna stop here for a bit and get some rest, yeah?
Are we gonna have to watch all of that also?
They would show me pictures of my life, but some weren't real.
It would have been nice for them to actually show this instead of having Peeta tell the whole story. Just another way these last two movies wasted their time. Did someone spill some Amityville horror in this Hunger Games?
We gotta go. We gotta get out of here now.
After Peeta's urgency, we spend roughly 4 minutes just slowly walking around the sewers, giving me enough time for the suspense to wear off and the frustration over nothing happening to wear on. Here's 2 minutes of our heroes crawling around in the sewer, because Mockingjay makes more money and less sense if it's 2 separate movies. Oh no, Chuds! Also, somehow these vicious creatures ran through all this water without making a noise until someone turned around and noticed them. Since we aren't in some kind of jungle, like the earlier Hunger Games, we get weird alien creatures rather than mutant monkeys. Also, did one of these alien clones whisper Katniss a minute ago? Are these things sentient enough to emulate movie tropes? I guess in this universe, if you already have a giant bruise on your abdomen from a bullet wound, you can't get any more. Otherwise, this would hurt like shit, and Katniss would be down for the count. Yet, here we are. Close-up, dark, quick, edited, random nothingness of an action scene. This movie steals from the House of Aliens, but instead of stealing the $1 million in gold bullion on the coffee table, they stole a watch and an umbrella and called it a day. That's what you get when you decide to get married. I've waited on this sin long enough. How does Katniss still have her arrows to shoot? She had like 12 to start, right? And only 4 of them were the explodey ones. Either the movie is f***ing with us or she has a Mary Poppins quiver. President Snow discovered Adam Sandler's Pixels technology. President Snow and his minions clearly did not give a f*** because their pods are destroying everything. These assholes jump at the last minute, but how did they have any idea that whatever it is behind them was going to stop at that exact spot? And why would you make a booby trap that arbitrarily cuts itself off halfway through the subway station? I don't remember falling asleep, but did I just wake up watching a live-action adaptation of Kung Fu Panda?
I know you. You were a stylist in the games.
Until Snow decided I wasn't pretty enough anymore.
In Snow's defense, lady, you took the name Tigress way too literally. Hide down here in Meemaw's basement. Also, nearly this whole movie is running from one place to another and then waiting for 10 minutes, and no one even has an interesting sex story to tell. I'd even accept a straight theft of one of the soldiers' stories in Saving Private Ryan right now. No sin, just sweet relief. A broadcast signal can be picked up in this basement? Even if I didn't know what was going to happen at the end of this scene, I'd be an asshole walking in this crowd thinking, Snow's going to pack all of us into his mansion, and then I'd leave, because what a bunch of bullshit. Rebel missile ex machina. Katniss and Gale somehow avoid getting hit by a hail of gunfire. Then this explosion makes them fall sideways so they can avoid getting hit by the truck. Now that is some lucky bullshit right there. I mean, come on. No debris whatsoever from that blast hits Katniss. The big twist at the end is not that Katniss is an indestructible robot, because she would have to be to survive all the shit this movie is throwing at her.
Primrose!
Prim sits there staring at Katniss so long, you might as well plaster a neon sign on the screen that says Prim's gonna die. Half the last 2 movies' runtime is dedicated to Katniss in hospitals.
Fight was over after the Capitol dropped those bombs to defend the palace.
So we spend the entire series building up to a war, and then we don't even get to see how that war ends.
Peacekeepers, palace guards, they had kids in there too.
Once again, Katniss and we, the audience, are being told what happened after the fact. This is the most boring episode of MTV Cribs I've ever seen.
Let her in.
Good thing an authority figure was here at this very moment so Katniss could confront Snow.
I must concede it was a masterful move on Coin's part.
Wait a minute, so Coin is the one who killed all those kids? But that means other people know, right? She found rebels who willingly launch bombs on children. How would she keep that secret?
Oh, my dear Miss Everdeen, I thought we'd agreed never to lie to each other.
And the honor of this insane dictatorial murderer holds fast, for some reason, as if he has any reason to ever keep or make a promise to Katniss. But it is narratively convenient for the climax.
Is that you?
I don't know.
If someone asks you if you helped murder a bunch of children and you respond with I don't know, you might as well say, yes, I did.
You want to have another Hunger Games with the Capitol's children?
You're joking.
Not in the slightest.
With all the hotheads in that room that are vehemently opposed to a Hunger Games for obvious reasons, no one decides to kill Coin right now. Haymitch is the only person at the table who understands what Katniss is trying to do. Ah, the old diegetic sound switcheroo. Also, they sure lucked the f*** out that their large arsenal of timpani didn't get destroyed. The first movie had the characters travel down this route in chariots, so who knows how long walking would take. I bet they cut out like 15 minutes here. So Effie made it out alive, obviously, but what happened to Caesar Flickerman? Does he still get to host his little show, or did the rebels explode him? Luckily, this execution is staged so that Snow is right in front of Coin, and Katniss can shoot her arrow without dramatically changing directions. I get that the rebels all hate Snow and want him dead, but why did none of them go for Katniss, who should be considered a traitor for killing the new president? Coin isn't much of a bleeder. This area is probably clean enough for another execution.
Promise me you'll find it.
Find what?
The life of a victor.
There's no way she could know what it is. I mean, do we really need to find more ways to fill time in what is essentially a 4.5-hour movie that only needed to be 2 hours long? Is that the same cat from before? The one that we last saw in the bunker? I smell a spinoff. Hunger Games Homeward Bound Part 1. Holy shit, this is the calmest cat in the face of flying objects and screaming I have ever seen. Movie decided to take the Return of the King route when it comes to ending the series.
I found these, over by the edge of the forest. It's Primrose.
I'm done.
You'll be happy to hear that Katniss's mother has been training new medical units in the capital.
This is the second letter being read to Katniss in 5 minutes. Katniss is only here to listen to people describe things, not actually witness it.
You love me, real or not real?
Real.
All Katniss had to do was f*** the distrust out of Peeta. No happy ending is complete without a baby thrown into the mix. She and Peeta lived through a horrific war and are no doubt scarred for life, but they're parents now, so Yay, I guess. It's a page from the Harry Potter book of, oh god, how do I end this shit?
I have nightmares too.
I have nightmares 3. One of mine is this movie won't end.
Why is he doing that? He's starving.
I'll take things I wouldn't have to explain if we just stayed indoors for 600.
Your father is dead, Coriolanus.
Damn, was he killed by your lack of tact?
It's up to us now to make him proud.
Laying the burden of making a deceased parent proud upon 2 children. They don't need that shit. They can barely find food. Literal compass standing in as a metaphor for moral compass cliche. Compasses basically only exist in movies to do this.
And pledge our love to you.
Blind patriotism.
It's beautiful. Best cousin ever.
Best cousin ever for a cool shirt? Shit, I had a cousin that scored me drugs on the regular, and we live 3 states away. This guy's definition of best could use some expansion.
You should really eat something today.
Save them for Grandma.
Old people. But also, spending money on the electricity to keep this huge-ass fridge running when it only has a few items in it. And they could easily have just used the ancient pot in a pot fridge where you pour sand between 2 pots and you keep it wet. You know what? They're wasting electricity here if they're super poor. That's my main point.
It's the 10th prize, Tigers. We'll be able to pay the rent.
Landlords. Taunting American viewers who are terrible drivers with this huge and sexy roundabout.
I am Dr. Volumnia Gall.
Dr. Volumnia Gall? These names are from the book of rejected James Bond names, right? Her name is Voluminous Gall. Peter Dinklage plays an intellectually tormented genius who spends most of his time intoxicated. That's new, right?
The Plinth Prize will no longer be determined by who has the best grades,
Excuse me?
but by who is the best mentor in the Hunger Games.
I am shocked about these changes I never saw coming to a prize I never heard of before. Just shocked, I tell you.
Victory in the games is only one of our considerations.
And yet by the end of the 10th Hunger Games, it will be the only consideration.
7, boy, Vipsania Sickle.
Okay, look, I know Suzanne Collins is known for making inventive names for this world, but Vipsania Sickle doesn't sound like a name. It sounds like an overpriced energy drink they'd sell at a rave. Well, here's a sin for that, and raves in general. He keeps reading names and numbers, and it keeps cutting to people like I'm supposed to have any clue what's happening or who is being assigned to whom. Like, that's your job, movie.
Oh, you'll be happy about this, Miss Crane. The Runt Girl, District 12.
Why is Lucy Gray considered a runt girl when we're about to see she's perfectly healthy? Why wasn't the coughing redhead considered the runt girl?
Sing your way out of this one, Lucy Gray.
Way to spoil who the titular songbird is, not Amy Adams. Not since The Lost World have I seen such a comedic overreaction to a snake going down someone's shirt. Want to get bit? Jump around and wiggle. Agitate the danger noodle.
Nothing you can take from me.
Holy shit, this is a musical?
Nothing you can take.
What is happening?
You saw her. She's underfed, unstable.
Sounds like each and every one of my college girlfriends.
Everything is about winning.
I bet Buffalo Bills fans would disagree.
I'll get her to sing again.
What? This movie has absolutely not explained why she sang, and now fails to explain why he would want her to do that again. Is singing in this world not like singing in our world? Is it some kind of power? Is it something most people can't do? Inspecting people as they get off a train. Maybe let's not do this.
When I was little, my mama used to bathe me in buttermilk and rose petals.
That sounds super wasteful on all counts, if I'm honest.
Why does the rainbow girl here get special treatment?
If I have to explain the movie up till now to every new character that comes along, this thing is going to be nearly 2.5 hours long.
I'm Lucretius Lucky Flickerman.
Why is the original announcer of the Hunger Games related to the announcer we saw in the J-Law movies? Is announcing the Hunger Games like royalty, where it's passed down from son to son? Or is this more of a nepotism trumps talent type of Jack Joe Buck situation?
Here's a hint. That's right, the Capitol Zoo.
That is not a hint.
You see, that's a Academy Rouge, no?
Saying rouge instead of red. Unless you work for Crayola, you can just say regular color names.
She's only 4. Oh, well, I think 4 is a very smart age to be.
That is nonsense. Literal gibberish. 4-year-olds are dumb as f***.
If Lucy Gray is brave enough to be here, then why shouldn't I be too?
For the record, I didn't have a choice.
Lucy Gray better stop sitting this movie before me, or I'll have her imprisoned and sent to a lethal game where contestants sin each other to...
So come down to the zoo and see these tributes.
He says this with a straight face.
What are the Hunger Games for?
To show the world America can take Kushin Takami's book and make an inferior copy?
When you saw those kids in the zoo, they just wanted to get to know Lucy Gray.
They did not. The kids appeared quite bored, much like the narrator of a certain YouTube channel right now.
I'd like you to write up a proposal of these thoughts tonight, Mr. Snow.
Homework. In the time it takes for him to put the napkin on his lap, the second half of the sandwich goes from being stacked above the first half to lined up perfectly with it in the next shot. I hate myself.
You think I can't hear your stomach growling, Jessup Biggs?
What I think is no regular human would say someone's full name at the end of a sentence like this without a script telling them to, so we can get Jessup's neck.
What happened to his neck?
That part.
Where's Morbius when you need him?
I ate a whole jar of paste
just to stop the pain in my stomach.
Wow, that sounds like having one problem and throwing a Molotov cocktail to create a different problem altogether. Just who the is in charge of clearing the weeds at this zoo? This is the Capitol, people.
You're just lucky that your songbird didn't.
You know what? I'm tired of everyone calling her Songbird and acting like she's an amazing singer who has singing powers. We saw her sing once, and it was kind of screamy.
Trust me, that one hasn't been a girl in a long time.
Nice language, Grandma. Nice. Drinking on the job. Why are the tables triangles?
Wearing my mama's dress is the only thing keeping me together here.
This is the weirdest character ever. She probably gave an amazing performance, but the way they've chosen to edit her performance and write her dialogue makes her sound like a computer trying to sound human.
I can't send you gifts in the arena without their money.
So this pretty young lady needs to perform in order to get gifts from her older male sponsor?
Maybe a guitar could persuade me, maybe.
Maybe a guitar could persuade you to act in your own self-interests? Look, you either get gifts that'll help you in the arena or you won't.
So, please, Miss Dovecoat, retrieve it for us, won't you?
This snakes don't attack sense they're familiar with bullshit is only shown to us now so it can be a big twist reveal later in the games. And if I want foreshadowing with all the subtleness of Gallagher smashing a watermelon, I just watch, Gallagher smashing a watermelon.
A strategy your classmate here articulated very well in his proposal. They're good, your suggestions.
Viola Davis is the shit.
Now run along, you have an arena to promote, and it's time for my milk and crackers.
Drinking milk with your crackers.
Welcome to the arena for the 10th annual Hunger Games.
The whole of the games are going to take place inside this tiny concert hall? Floors cave in, and then the entire ceiling caves in, and the movie is still going to show us a bunch of Hunger Games contestants ready to compete after this scene, even though basically everyone should be dead now and forever, goddamn.
They're not still going ahead with the games.
Now, that's a stupid question. Of course they are. The smart question is, are they going to move the games to a more interesting and less bombed arena? And the answer to that question is somehow no. Her singing is getting her a ton of donations. So how long before the others start juggling naked or just doing porn? Does Pan Am have laws in place for an OnlyFans situation? Also, I can't play it for you, but this song is a lifeless Bob Dylan ripoff. As this nurse cries listening to the Songbird's song, I have to ask, has this person never heard singing before? Is that actually the point here? Not that she's an amazing singer, but that she's the first to dare to sing in ages? Because that would be compelling. But the movie isn't actually telling us that story. Instead, the movie says she's an amazing singer and everyone's mesmerized and emotional because her voice is the most beautiful thing they've ever heard.
Lucy Gray, you're alive.
No guards on patrol. Spot her over here, Snow and Lucy conspiring to cheat. Are there seriously no extra guards watching the tributes after a rebel bombing and one escaping?
Those bombs, they have changed everything.
As bombs are wont to do.
You saved me, Lucy Gray.
I wish just one goddamn motherfucking time he would call her Lucy, or Luce, or Gray, or LG, instead of always using both her first names.
And there will come a time when you need this.
There will come a time when she needs rat poison?
We are gonna win this. Lucy Gray.
Lucy Gray, 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 Lucy Gray.
And smile. It's why we have teeth.
Forgetting about the functionality of chewing food.
To the children watching, that was violent, horrific, and disgusting.
Only to the children?
If they keep it up at this pace, we're gonna be out of here in no time.
Man, do not get my hopes up. Amazon delivery services.
Spend your father's money. Do some real good.
If you have access to incredible wealth and still lack the imagination on how to properly help others, I'm not sure what to tell you, Janice. You might just be a dumbass.
Your Songbird's next on my list.
Good luck penetrating her plot armor with that rusty trident.
You've had enough of the games tonight, I see.
I, too, have had enough of the games tonight.
Who could imagine Crassus Snow's baby boy fighting for his life in the arena one day?
I thought the games were only in their 10th year, though. So no one could have imagined that because the games didn't exist.
Leaving a boy with a club who beats another boy to death to stay alive.
Grammar this with me. Leaving a boy with a club who beats another boy to death to stay alive. What the f***? I saw what happened, and I know she's shaming Snow for clubbing that kid, apparently to death, to save his own ass, but the grammar of that sentence does not make any sense. Who is doing the leaving? Are they leaving a boy with a club? What do you mean by club? Because Snow beat the assailant with what looked like a club, but you just said we left that boy with the club. Then the boy with the club who was left turns out to be Snow because he's beating another boy to death to stay alive. Oh no, the Snow family is being evicted. Now he's even more manipulatable. Also, if you get evicted in the capital, do you have to go live in one of the districts? Do they have homeless shelters in the capital? Because I don't think that they do. Holy shit, it's been the whole night and this guy is still shaking and shivering and crying, and she somehow spent the last 8 hours next to this and did not kill or ditch him.
Rabies, it makes you afraid of water. Send him a drone.
Wow, you diagnosed him with rabies faster than WebMD told me I had gout. It turned out to be an ingrown toenail. That's 2 tributes Snow has now killed. Maybe it's guilt that actually turns him evil, yeah? Also, none of the other tributes hear this and come running to see what caused all this screaming. Snow sends in 12 drones of water, and somehow that takes out basically all the assailants.
I'm just sending water.
Nice try, Snow, but God already tried using that same line after Genesis 6. I didn't let him off the hook, and I'm not buying it from you either. Trying to attack someone who has the high ground. You're just begging to lose your limbs and be left for dead next to a river of lava.
You're useless!
How did these 4 even get so tight? Why don't they kill this leader girl now since she's so mean? So here comes a fairly innocent tribute to maybe drink the poison water, and it's tense, but still, those bullies all left to chase the child? They didn't leave one person back to guard/kill Lucy Gray, who was pretty well trapped? Seriously? That's 3 tallies on Snow's sheet.
Kill!
This guy is terrible at stealth. Wow, this moment would be so much more impactful if we'd gotten to know anything about any of the other tributes, like in the last Hunger Games movies. Ironically, for a film whose theory is humanize the tributes so the audience will pay better attention, this movie fails to humanize its tributes so we'll pay better attention.
Before the sun goes down tonight, a rainbow of destruction will engulf our arena, even if it means there's to be no victor in these games.
This is the political equivalent of, if I can't have it, no one can.
Give me a drink. Give me a drink right now.
This was right about the part of the movie where I asked our intern to get me a drink. He then promptly reported me to HR. I then said, "Gotcha, b****. This is CinemaSins. We don't have an HR." And then he reported me to the Department of Labor, which I learned is, in fact, a real thing, with real fines.
Your songbird, Lucy Gray, put on a wonderful show.
But she didn't. And she's still only sung twice in this movie. Albert Brooks sings twice in broadcast news, but nobody's out here calling him Songbird. So he tore out his own stitches so he could come in here to get more, and he somehow knew that after she was gone, Dr. Gall would leave him alone in the lab so he could do spy shit. This movie is testing my patience even more than most movies. He puts the handkerchief he used to wipe Lucy's tear into a vat of snakes because they are sniffy snakes. We met them briefly earlier when they attacked that one girl who pissed off the teacher. But the real issue is the 2 guards turning their backs on the vat of snake for the entire time.
Quiet. Listen.
Why did Lucy keep crawling further down the tunnel after she got out of reach of the spear? This works. The snakes take out at least 3 tributes, and yet there is still an entire ass hour of this movie left to go.
I can't have killed them all for nothing.
This is the most hilarious form of selfishness I've ever seen.
Headed for heaven.
She's singing to the snakes. She is singing to the snakes. She is singing to the snakes.
Get her out!
Why the f*** is Tigers here? She's neither a student nor a member of the broadcast staff.
She's won! Lucy Gray! Orlando Snow is the winner of the 10th annual Hunger Games!
Wait, you just contradicted yourself. Didn't Lucy win the games? Snow was just her mentor. Or is this like when they give Grammys to singers but not the musicians?
We both know that child from 11 didn't die of disease.
She might have. If that rat poison didn't kill her, the disease was probably just seconds behind.
And that old handkerchief. We found it in the snake tank, appropriately. Condemning you with your father's own initials.
Why didn't he cut the initials off the cloth before putting it in the tank? Honestly, this guy is such a moron, I kind of think he deserves to get punished.
Finally. The sound of snow. Falling.
Jesus f***ing Christ, was this script written by a hammer?
Send me to 12.
How much did he bribe the officer with? $5? Would $20 have gotten him out of duty altogether? The bar for bribes in Pan Am is set real low.
So what I did in the arena? My father had to buy the academy a brand new gym just so I could get my diploma. But once I found out where they were sending you, I couldn't get out fast enough.
Wait, what? Does he know Snow is in love with Lucy Gray and not him? I realize Snow saved his life, but doing all this is pretty extreme as far as payback goes.
If there is a games next year, they're probably gonna invite her to sing at the opening ceremony.
Well, invite is an overly polite word choice. They'll probably force her to at gunpoint.
For the next 20 years, the brothers and sisters in your immediate squad will become your family.
Hold up. Is every soldier here serving 20 years? Do they all get caught cheating in the games? How does the enlistment system work in this universe? 20 years is a hell of a tour of duty.
What were you thinking back there?
She didn't do anything, Corio. What is she guilty of?
Being directly associated with rebels.
Holy shit! Did he go from mostly good to full throttle evil during a train ride?
Are you coming to the tree?
I'm half convinced this final and necessary act of the movie solely exists to throw in some forced callbacks to the others. Didn't you want to know where that song the District 12 citizens sang once came from? It's Lucy Gray! Don't you feel good knowing that? It's like finding out where Han Solo's last name came from.
But I gave them my last cent so that I could come here to 12.
Actually, you gave them your last bill, not your last cent. There were no coins exchanged in the bribe.
Maud, have you grab my guitar?
Why does Maud have to grab your guitar? You're 3 steps away. Or ask Snow to hand it to you. Maud is literally the furthest person from your guitar. Now they're openly together on this excursion, and what is time? What is place? What are military responsibilities?
On the lonesome wild.
Man, earlier she never sang, but they called her Songbird all the time. Now the movie has heard my complaints and has wildly overcompensated.
Mockingjays, we call them.
Jesus Christ.
But I hope you'll come back with me.
Asking the girl you've been dating for one day to eventually return to the site of her deepest nightmares and trauma.
What if this was our life, Coriolanus? Not here.
God, this is the longest mid-credit scene ever, though it's oddly taking place before the credits.
Some people call it swamp potato, but I think Katniss has a much nicer ring, don't you?
You know what? We're not even 5 minutes out from the last callback, so here's 10 sins for another forced reference to earlier movies. Give me a reason for this final act to exist aside from Easter eggs.
I've made a career out of ruining my enemies' plans.
Right, that's why you got the really good post of being in charge of District 12.
We're renting this place just for right now.
They evicted you.
If not having money got you evicted from your previous home, how do you have the money to rent wherever you're staying now?
You're as pure as the driven snow.
Jesus f***ing Christ, was this song written by a hammer? Man, he's got more kills than Gimli or Legolas at this point. Have you ever been to a music club or bar where there were folk performers on stage? Do you think you would not hear a rifle shot from the green room in those circumstances?
I have to run north, away from the district.
Movie doesn't give me a map of any kind so I can see what's outside of Pan Am. What is the Hunger Games version of Canada?
I just learned Hoff is sending me to 2 for officer training.
No, you learned that days ago, fool. How are you able to go do a day at the lake with her and her friends, but somehow not able to speak to her at all in the last several days outside of the time you were murdering people?
Meet me at the hanging tree.
They're gonna hang us. Let's escape. Where should we meet? That place they hang people. Brilliant. So apparently Dr. Gall got the bird Snow sent, and that's why this dude is now about to be hanged. And I guess Snow knew that would happen? What a dick. Regardless, there are 3 more bodies about to be added to his ledger, and he is a prolific killer.
Treason, plain and simple.
If watching the last 8 years of American politics has taught me anything, it's that there's nothing plain and simple about treason anymore. Snooping through the personal belongings of a man you just caused to die.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't believe you. Man, he told her to meet at first light. This is f***ing 9:30 in the morning. Somehow, she still wants to be with him.
I'll miss the covey. Hope they'll follow me someday, though.
Why aren't they now? Is there any reason aside for artificial tension that they shouldn't be fleeing with you at this very moment?
There was Bobbin in the arena in Mayfair, and who's the third?
My old self.
Lying, but also being bad at lying.
If we destroy that gun, you're free.
Wouldn't you also be free, Lucy? Holding this cloth to your face before knowing 100% that there aren't any snakes inside.
Shut up!
Wasting ammo.
Congratulations, Mr. Snow. You've passed all my tests. The president has agreed to another year of the games.
Let's just hope Lionsgate doesn't.
When I sobered up, I wanted it destroyed, but your father, my best friend, he'd stolen it from me.
That's a shame.
Snow lands on top.
God damn you, you couldn't resist one more goddamn snow pun, could you?
I'm tired. I don't want to play that dumb game anymore.
It was me.
It was me!
Fine, laugh at me.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Next. Give it here, Malfoy.
But freedom has a cost.
Freedom costs a buckle.
What's your name?
I'm Batman.
You shadow! I hate you! I hate you!
Do I smell like roses to you?
No judgment. It's fine. I was gay once, for a while.
You definitely smell better than I do.
Well, I've lived here longer.
An astute observation has led to laughter.
Previously on Big Brother.
You're crazy. You're crazy, man. You're crazy. I like you. But you're crazy.
We need a signal in case one of us gets held up.
Okay, like what?
Here, watch this.
God, how do they walk away in movies without flinching when it explodes behind them? There's no way! I call bullshit on that!
Earn this. See, Katniss, the way the whole friend thing works is you have to tell each other the deep stuff.
The deep stuff.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, like what?
Like,
What is your favorite color?
I'm not quite dead, sir. I think I could pull through, sir.
Last year was child's play.
Run! Run! The fog is poison!
Silent Green is people!
for you.
It's the pearl. The black pearl.
Thank you.
Kevlar utility harness, gas-powered magnetic grapple gun, the 350-pound test monofilament.
The survivors of the nuclear fire called the war Judgment Day. They lived only to face a new nightmare, the war against the machines.
Drinking. Yeah, a lot of drinking.
Are you still drinking?
No, I don't. That's behind me now. Why are you buying?
I have a message for President Snow.
I live to see you eat that contract. But I hope you leave enough room for my fist because I'm going to ram it into your stomach and break your goddamn spine!
Hey! Oi, mate! I think there's something wrong with your suit. Yeah, there's a dead guy in it.
Gentlemen, to evil.
Vader, release him.
So we can't go anywhere in the streets.
And the rooftops are just as bad.
We will go through the mines.
Stay alive.
Stay alive, no matter what occurs. I will find you.
I need you to lie back. You're okay.
You're gonna be okay. Say the goddamn words. You're gonna be okay.
Jenny.
Forrest, I do love you.
Sorry, ma'am. Can't let you pass.
You shall not pass!
Well, it's an excellent blue duck. Congratulations. You just passed the first grade.
To your ideal and pledge our love to you.
I'm not allowed to sing. Court order.
I could this icebox. I love it so much.
You could work in a wine store, Miles. That'd be a good move.
As you know, each and every one of you was searched upon your arrival here tonight. And you have the right to know why.
Where this year's tributes will be held here, on display behind these bars for your viewing pleasure.
I immediately regret this decision.
Either way, that's what happens when you do stuff.
Well said. Wasn't that well said, Zoe?
Had a kind of poetry to it, sir.
Blood for Bo! Blood for Bo! Blood